Are you ready for what is coming in this economy with the cost of living, with millions of people that could be displaced, with rising prices, with more job losses, layoff, you name it? Are you ready? Well, I live in a state where it doesn't snow. That's going to help me a little bit. I'll try to think of a few other positive things about living in California, and I'll get back to you on that. Let's take a look at some recent news here. The Fed's Jerome Powell is still staying with the narrative that inflation is temporary. In this case, look at the kind of words that they use. He says inflation surge will be temporary. Well, just because something is no longer surging or going up rapidly doesn't mean that it's not too high. So yes, it could stop surging, but it's already too high. If home prices stop surging, that's not going to make prices drop. You see what I'm saying? So you just see the language that they use. You have to listen and try to analyze, what they're telling you. And this means that inflation is probably going to continue. It may not surge like it's currently surging, but prices are going to continue to rise, right? The bankers, they don't want to allow deflation, right? They don't want to allow markets to correct. They don't want prices to correct to reflect any sort of free market. So it's going to be more distortion, more pumping, more liquidity, more programs, more intervention into the markets, into the economy, in housing and stocks, you name it. Another story, evictions are happening. Yes, there's a moratorium, but there's situations that fall through the cracks. Off-duty officer may have saved lives after confronting a gunman that was angry he was evicted. All right, I'm seeing stories like this every day, and this is with the eviction moratorium still in place. Imagine when that is done. 11 million households, look at about 2.6 people per household. You're talking about 24 million people that would be displaced instantly if the eviction moratorium were to come to an end. In the meantime, you've got struggling landlords that can't pay their bills that are snapping. Just look at our last report. And actually 2.6 people per household with 11 million households behind on rent would be over 28 million actually. Can you imagine 28 million new homeless people all at once in the United States? We're already seeing tent cities expand. Take a look at this latest report here. I should say recent report here. This is out of Como News. Seattle Public Schools won't remove homeless encampment behind schools. So you see the soccer field right here. Looks like a lot of geese or some turkeys or whatever. But you see the homeless people now right behind the school. The school's trying to kick these homeless people out of there. But I think they should be allowed to stay. And not only should they be allowed to stay, I think they should educate the students on why this is happening. Right? Instead, the students are going to go to art class. They're going to go to band class or music class. They're going to learn complicated formulas for figuring out math problems. But they're likely not going to learn very much real life details and how to navigate what's coming to this country. Not just what's coming, but what's already here. Why are these people homeless? Well, there's many reasons, of course. And people say, oh, they're all drunks, they're all drug addicts. I would argue, why do people turn to drugs and alcohol? There's lots of reasons, but I think a big reason is because everything is so hard. Just living life is hard for so many people. Again, 70+% of people living paycheck to paycheck, even before the Great Sickness. Even before the Great Sickness. No, it wasn't the Great Sickness that brought about the situation. Right? It was the market intervention. It was the inflation. It was the lending system. It was the banks. Too big to fail banks. The bailouts. The intervention in the manipulation of the interest rates, encouraging debt, encouraging borrowing, spending. That creates higher asset prices, higher cost of living. And sure, of course, there's going to be people that are going to become alcoholics. They're going to become drug addicts no matter what. But we're seeing depression increase. And you think it's bad now, just wait until after this eviction moratorium ends. You're going to see violence, crime, depression, all increase. And this country may not look like the same country in just a few months. I mean, nobody knows. I don't think anybody knows the exact time frame, but we do see things continuing to get worse. We see the recovery not really a recovery. We see a lot of entry-level jobs, low-paying jobs, service sector jobs. Here's one. This is out of YouTube. Laid off Tesla employee frustrated with EDD hires bot to make calls. So people that are trying to get their unemployment benefits are having a very, very difficult time. When you have millions and millions of people every month that are losing their jobs, and yes, it's still a million new jobless filings every month, you're going to have backups, you're going to have delays, you're going to be on hold, you're going to have rude customer service because the customer service people are also overworked, taking phone call after phone call. 8 hours, who knows, maybe 10 hours a day talking to frustrated, angry customers. Right? These customer service people are probably at their wits' end, and I wonder how many people are just leaving the customer service industry because they're so stressed about the types of people they have to talk to all day, every day. So yeah, this unemployed individual, former Tesla employee, got a bot app or something here to make phone calls. I'll let you check that out if you want to get more information. Speaking of bots and jobs, rent a robot. Silicon Valley's new answer to the labor shortage in smaller U.S. factories. So now small factories can rent a robot. Instead of developing their own robotics, they're just renting robots for the particular situation or for the particular workload. And we've talked about this before, how automation, technology, and robots are taking human jobs. Where does it end? It looks to be just expanding. And the more people are unwilling or unable to work, the more you're going to see pushes for automation. And all the people screaming for a higher minimum wage, where you're going to have a zero wage because you're going to see your job replaced by automation and robots. Right? And here's the thing about higher minimum wage. Just raising the minimum wage is not going to fix anything if prices everywhere else, if prices for goods, food, service, industry, energy, if prices are rising twice, 3 times, 4 times as fast as the wages, you're still not fixing the problem. So screaming for a higher minimum wage may sound great. It may feel like you're actually doing something. You're being an activist and you're looking out for the quote unquote little guy, little person. But if you're not focused on what the true source of the problem is, you're actually causing more harm than good because you're misdirecting people's attention to something that actually is not the root of the problem. So many would argue that the people out there doing that are a part of the problem. All right, people, let's shift now back to housing, the eviction moratorium out of San Francisco. We're not going to allow any more evictions, San Francisco housing advocates promise. Well, how are they not going to allow it? What about the landlords? What about the property owners that are not getting their rent? These people should be protesting, not the landlords, not the city, but they should be out in front of the Fed building. Right? You have to go to the source of this monetary system. But most people just don't know. They don't understand where this all originates from, the inflation. And it's going to be a lot of the same people that don't understand that likely are going to be punished the most, unfortunately, because they have no idea what's coming and how to prepare. All right, Bulls and Bears, keep stacking. Thanks for being here. Stay well. Hope you're good. Big love. See you next time. Bye.